Celeb Savant is a career retrospective type interview focusing on singers, actors, and industry experts. Join Barrett Edelstein now as he dives into the entertainment world.
Apple Gule has firmly established himself within South Africa's house, soulful and pop music scenes. His distinctive voice and authentic songwriting have led to multiple singles achieving high rotation on both radio and streaming platforms. This success has attracted collaborations with prominent producers such as Kyle Watson, Crazy White Boy, Da Capo, Hyena, Dawson, and many more. Apple's music has been featured on esteemed international labels including Astral Works, Armada, Syrup, and Sondela Recordings. Within South Africa, he has partnered with Sony Music Africa, Gala Records, and Virgin Music Group South Africa. His dynamic performances have graced major festivals like Coachella, Corona Sunsets, Rocking the Daisies, Opikopi, Lush, Kinky Summer, We Love Summer, and Hot on Top Mauritius. Embracing his roots as a country boy from Eswatini and his passion for ballads, Apple is embarking on a bold new journey into country music. This transition allows him to showcase his unique writing style and powerful vocals in a genre he deeply loves. Up next on Celeb Savant, live in studio at Solid Gold Podcasts in Johannesburg, South Africa, is Apple Gule.
Yes.
Apple, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much for having me, Barrett. I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Let's dive straight in. How, why, and where did the stage name come from?
You know the thing is, dude, like, everyone always asks me this question. And I always just tell them the simple, I just thought about a name. But then they always think, okay, did you get it from your first name? My first name is Apelele. Now, let me tell you this. I used to play football, like, back in the day, like, when I was a kid. But then I almost went pro. Everyone says that, but I actually almost did. I was playing at Tuck Sports Academy. So Apelele is my real name, right? And then on the pitch, saying that quickly is difficult when you're, like, you know, running at full speed, you're out of breath. So my coach just one day was like, hey, bro, Apple. Oh, and you know, you never choose your own nickname. And everyone just started calling me that. And now, yeah, I'd say, 20 years later? So
Okay.
It's stuck.
Okay, so now let's rewind. At what age, whether as a child or teenager, did you think, okay, I want to be in this music world, I want to be in this creative path, and how did that journey progress?
Sure. You know, I never actually wanted to become a musician. Music was always there as like something to do as a hobby. You know, my brother and I would wash dishes and we'd be singing freaking Beach Boys and whatever, Michael Jackson, because my mom was always playing that stuff. But music has always just been there to do like as therapy, as something just to enjoy. Like, we all love music, you know what I mean? To some degree. And like me, and football is always my thing. But I think the one time, actually shout out to my boy Kyle. What's up, Kyle? He was studying at a college in Pretoria and he was doing sound engineering. And he heard me sing, like, just like, you know, fucking around at football one night. And he was like, bro, I need help with my project. I need you to come through and help me with this project. Just a couple of demos we have to record. My vocalist at the time, whatever, I don't know what her name was, had just dropped out. So I was like, okay, cool, bro. It's freaking far, but I got you, you know what I mean? So we must have been there for 3 or 4 hours, bro. And we created magic. Or at least it felt like magic at the time, you know what I mean? But creating something out of nothing. And then I was like, shit, this is what I want to do for a living. And the bug just bit me there, and I haven't looked back. And I guess 10 years later, 15 years later, yeah.
Doing those demos and the bug biting you,
Yeah.
how did you now then create that to become professional?
Yo, I believe truly in that saying, like, you know, you're called to do something. So, you know, you can always force it to some degree. So you always go and you put in the work, but you have to be ready, right? So if you put in the work, you learn how to write, you learn how to, you know, produce, you learn how to do all these things. I went to go study at a music college in Pretoria. You know, you learn, you get the stuff going, but you still have to get lucky to some degree, man. So I started singing the national anthem at Tux before all the football matches and the rugby matches, you know, the F&B Cup thing. And shout out to another guy, man, Andrew Cross. He was the MD of Soul Candy Records at the time. And he was like, who the fuck is this guy? So funny enough, a week later, I'd emailed him saying I want to kind of release a song. So I go and have this meeting with him. He's like, bro, I saw you on freaking TV doing the national anthem for rugby. And I was like, you kidding? And I guess that's when you just have those stars align.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Again, you still have to put in the graph. So now it's like, we're trying to find the song to release, whatever, but we'll get there. You know what I mean? But that's pretty much how the slither of the door opened for me to get into the industry.
Doing it professionally compared to having the bug biting you and having the idea of doing it, are there any aspects of the professional life of doing it that surprise you that you did not think would be part of the process?
Dude, every day, to this day even, still parts that freaking surprise me. But I think the biggest initial one, was that there's actually so many talented people out there. At the time I thought, I'm shit hot. I'm the best thing, to the music society. And I was like, it's actually really about a lot of politics, a hell of a lot of politics, knowing the right people. And that's was kind of like what threw me back. And I was like, you know what, this is not just about who's the most talented. That's what I learned. It's about who you know, like what you can leverage. And, without fucking getting myself into trouble, whose back can you scratch and who can scratch yours?
Oh, yeah.
That was a big thing.
I think that's every industry.
That's every industry for sure. I think I was just young and naive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you create a song?
Oh, man. There's always like a certain blueprint that I always try to use, and that's ideation, write down a line, find a melody, and then build a song around that. But I think because music is like such a weird thing, like all creative spaces, you find inspiration in the most ridiculous places, the most ridiculous times, and the most ridiculous ways. So I like to tell a story. I'll come up with a story. It could be anything. Let's say we're talking about today, how I went into a room full of cameras, and that will be the concept of the song. And then I'll go from there. Maybe I write a couple of lines of the whole story, but I like to have that first, have the story of what I want to write. Then normally I've got my people who either it's Sam on the guitar or myself on the piano or guitar, whatever, write a melody. But I think once you have a story, it always kind of gives a mood of what you're trying to tell. And then from there, the creative juices start flowing. Do
you create the whole initial story, or do you collaborate with Sam or others at any other point?
I'd say every song, the idea has come from me, but inspired by different people. So I'll give you an example, like a song I wrote called Solace that I did with Carl Watson, for example, was actually a heartbreak song, but it was inspired by another friend's heartbreak. And sheesh, that song kind of blew up because it's relatable. But then another song, also with Carl Watson, was talking about how he wouldn't have been a musician himself if it wasn't for his wife and his wife supporting him. And it's a song called Song for the One. Also another song that blew up, but I wrote the idea, but it was inspired by other things. So yeah, I think to answer your question, I come up with pretty much most of the ideas, but I think the inspiration from them, as with anything created, comes from multiple sources.
You reference about songs blowing up. And we have this thing in the world, in whatever sector you're in, wherever you work, of comparison, and it's very challenging to move out of that. So has there ever been a point where you have had songs blow up and then you release another song and it doesn't do as well, and that whole comparison thing comes into play? And secondly, is it a situation of now trying to create something that will be similar in order for it to blow up?
Sheesh, dude. I've had this internal debate countless times. It's like, it's just such a weird place, the industry or anything creative. You're like, when things work, they work because it was meant for that moment and that time, and it was supposed to happen then. And I think it took me a long time to learn that you should let that thing live in that time, because that's what it is meant for. So yes, I've caught myself many times trying to replicate something because it worked that time. And then I do it, then it's like lukewarm the next time. Then I'll do something different and that blows up. And then I try to do that again, and it's like it gets okay response, but it's fucking lukewarm again. And I'm like, jeez, there's just no way to ever know when something's gonna blow up. You have to get lucky, and it has to just be the right time, the right place, and again, the stars have to align. So yeah, I try to now actively tell myself to not compare, because if you do, you're just gonna make a carbon copy of yourself. And they always go like, yeah, but at least it's you. And I was like, yeah, but I'm still copying something that had its time, and let it be. You know what I mean? So it's tough to let go, but you have to.
There's been obviously periods of time, as we know, in the creative industry, there's been a lot of doors closing, a lot of knocking, a lot of putting things out there, not blowing up. And then how have you personally remained positive or allowed your focus to be on positive things during those challenging times?
Yeah, that is something that still occurs to us, to anyone, and no matter where you are in your career, when you do something maybe a bit different or whatever, until it's weird. There has to be a hype around it before it becomes big, but then how do you create the hype? So that is just about remaining consistent. I think there's always like that feeling, like, okay, cool. First of all, this is dope. It sounds good. I am good. I wouldn't be where I'm at already if it wasn't good. So just trust what you're doing and make sure you do whatever you are doing, and make it sound amazing. And yeah, I think it's tough, but there's always going to be that one little slither of hope that you have that you can go through. And I think if you stay consistent, consistency is always the key. I think when you chop and change and try to do everything, that's when you can kind of lose focus, and then you kind of become a jack of all trades as opposed to a master of one.
And that's interesting, because a lot of people start things and they have good intentions, and the consistency becomes a problem because there are a number of things, time, etc., etc. But I've also noticed that, and I'd like your observations of this or experience of this, not necessarily with self, of other people. I find that a lot of people don't follow through for various reasons, but also one of the reasons is because there's a fear of success. So they self-sabotage themselves because if they're successful, now it means they have to show up. They have to be accountable. People are now going to be looking at them more and looking up to them potentially. And they come up with excuses to sabotage themselves so they don't have to attain that. And yet they stay stuck in their comfort zones and complain. What are your thoughts around this topic that I've just referenced?
Dude, that happens more often than you'd actually realize. It actually pisses me off because I'll see someone who's super talented and they do exactly what you're talking about. But I think what you ended on there perfectly was the comfort zone aspect. Releasing music or releasing any art or releasing anything that you worked on and you put your soul into, it's a scary thing to do. It is. No, let's not lie to ourselves about that. It does get easier the more you do it, but even then, the most experienced artists, yes, they're confident or whatever, but when they release that thing, it's not theirs anymore. You give it to someone else. Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons where people kind of do that self-sabotage. They go they don't give themselves the chance to be criticized. And who knows, that might be the most beautiful thing, but you're also right, it could be the fucking worst thing in the world. But I think you have to take the risk. And I've seen it countless times, bro, where there's guys, people who I know, people that I'm still working with now, and they are talented as fuck. Way more talented than I am, most talented people I've ever seen. And they'll be like, what do you think about this? And I'll be like, bro, I think this is sounding sick. Release it. And then it's 3 months go by and you're like, bro, where's the thing? He's like, nah, it wasn't sounding right there. And I'm like, nah, you're getting into that overthinking zone. You're going into that freaking, super, super, super analytical anal zone. And that's where you're going to mess it up. That's where you're going to now fuck it up a little bit. Yeah. I always remember that one interview where the Foo Fighters recorded that one album in a garage. And they wanted to record it there because they wanted it just to fucking sound natural and just go for it without having 3 different mixing engineers come in and touch it there, touch it there. And that album happened to be one of the best albums they've ever made. And I think that's what it is with art. Some of the most ridiculously good things have been done either by mistake or have been done on a whim, or it was just so natural, like someone wrote a song in 10, 15 minutes and it blew up. I get making it sound the best you want it to sound, but also at the same time, if it's good, trust me, people will know it's good just off initial feeling. And that thing has kind of fucked up so many careers. Yeah. Because someone will be working on an album for 10 years and then they still don't release it. And you're like, bro. And then they do release it, but then sometimes people are over it by then. Yeah. Like, no, that's not the sign anymore. That's not the thing. So I think you just go with feeling, man. You have to fucking trust your gut.
But it's also people have comfort zones.
Definitely.
And it's unconscious or conscious. I'll give you an example. I teach spinning classes. And it's first come, first serve for the bikes. And yet you get the people, that's my bike. And if someone's in that bike, they get so angry and upset. It's not about that's their bike. It's this is their comfort zone.
Yeah.
And now someone is pushing them out of that comfort zone, which means there may be a little bit of fear and they don't want to deal with fear.
I guess that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Fear. I think it is fear. Exactly. It all boils down to freaking fear. And I don't know. It does take a certain level of don't give a fuckery to do anything that's worthwhile, I think, in life. So if it's not going to be your thing, unfortunately, maybe you just don't cut out for it. That's also a possibility. Maybe a reality a lot of people have to face.
I know it's all very secretive in your guys' world. What can you tell us is coming up?
Oh, dude, let me tell you, actually, I don't want to maybe plug any companies, but I want to just say this year started off like a fucking house on fire. We did the opening of Callum Scott.
Yes. Okay, so you were in Durban. Yeah.
I was in Durban recently.
So I saw the show here in Joburg.
Okay.
How was that experience?
Dude, so first of all, biggest show of my life. Shout out to fucking Breakout. I have to give Damon and the team there and Mish and Gareth all some fucking kudos there for everyone believing in me. So you also need that. People just to have a fucking punt on you. Not to say that I haven't been in the industry for ages, but it's like, that's a different level, you know, going on someone's world tour. So that was insane, just because of the professionalism and, you know, how things have to sound and, you know, fucking check this, check that. I was addicted. I was like, I have to get to that level now because I can't not experience that again. So that was absolutely phenomenal. Meeting Callum himself, you know, like we always think these big superstars are dicks. And I found that some of the biggest guys are the nicest guys.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why the boss made it so far in their careers, because they treat the janitor how they treat the CEO. And I think that's exactly what we need to do, especially here in South Africa. It's a big thing that's the culture of music here needs to learn. So yeah, that was freaking phenomenal. So just off of the base of that.
Before we go in there,
okay.
There's this point that I want to dive into, which you just referenced now. So I love what you just said, because it's all around the world. I don't know, maybe less in Eastern, but more definitely Western worlds.
Yeah.
There's this perception of societal labels that if a person is an artist, if they're the CEO, if they're the head of department, that you need to put on this mask because you're now interacting with this person and you need to portray yourself in a different way. The point I love to make is that we all use 2-ply toilet paper. There's no gold-plated toilet paper. If there was, everyone's backsides would be very, very sore. So the same way I speak to you is the same way I speak to whomever, because we all have red blood, we all use 2-ply toilet paper, and that people need to get out of this societal conditioning of labels and putting people separate because of those labels.
I'm the biggest advocate for that, bro. I am the biggest advocate for that. I mean, there's countless examples I can give you, I'm sure, in any kind of space, but I'll give you one, obviously, from the music space where, you know, you say it's 1 o'clock, they say sound check is 1 o'clock. I try to get there like 10 to 1 so that I'm sound checking in 1 and it's 1:30. And you treat the sound guy like the gold, because or like anyone, because that guy can make or break your whole fucking show. I've seen some people come in there and one, they're late, so they're not respecting people's time, which I think is the worst thing to do with people. Two, they talk to someone like down and you're like, bro, again, this person can hold your whole show in his palm of his hand. But even that's just one example. I completely agree. I think it's unfortunately something we do subconsciously, where you go, oh, I'm meeting fucking Brad Pitt. Let me put on a little bit of a show here. But if I'm going to Spa, it's like, what's the way it shouldn't be? It shouldn't.
And the thing is that when you meet those people and you are putting on a show, and that generally people put on more of a show. Yeah. Because it's those people. They see through it.
Oh yeah. From a mile away. Yeah. From a mile away. And more so actually, if you're real and just do what I just said now, they appreciate that way more.
Exactly.
And you're probably gonna get quote unquote more respect from them because you just were like treating them as a human being, as how you're supposed to treat somebody. There are people then on the other side who, yes, they can see through it, but they fucking love it. And they are like, oh yeah, treat me, kiss my ass. But those are just wankers.
Exactly. Yeah. Those are all the people with filters on social media.
What a line. Yes. They've got
There's a song for you.
Thank you. Don't got a filter in real life. That's a fucking real life.
There's a song for you.
You'll get your credit, don't worry.
Let's go back to what's coming up.
So what's coming up? So I don't know if you kind of knew. So the way my career started, let's go a little bit back before.
Yes,
before.
okay, perfect.
I started off doing pretty much like pop R&B type soul music, very John Legend-esque in the beginning. And then through just by songs doing well and playing on radio, and I think I had a very unique voice to what people were hearing at the time. A lot of the DJs came into my life, your Watsons, your Crazy White Boys, whatever. And I was doing a lot of then dance collabs, which are amazing. Don't get it twisted. Like, those open up so many doors. I was doing like large festivals and that kind of thing. So I kind of put my shit on the back burner a little bit, if I'm being honest with you. Because I was just riding this wave. And then I was like, you know what, man? Fuck. I want to fall in love with my music again. I don't want to do it as if I'm just, filling out a formula and then it does well. And listen, end of the day, like, it sucks, but this was the reality of it. When you make a song with a big DJ, the people who are going to get booked is going to be that DJ. Even though you are probably one of the most essential parts of the song, melody and everything, then they think about that song, they're booking the DJ. And I was like, okay, cool. Not to say I'm sour, but I was sour. I was like, nah, I'm going to take a break on these type of collabs for a while and just go back and find me again. Went through a little bit of fuckery, obviously COVID and up and down. And I was like, let me just write again. And I fell in love with writing again. And that's the most important thing to anyone. I think now that I've been in the game, someone's reminded me yesterday, 10 years, how's it? I was like, Apple, you've been here for a reason now, for that long. Go back to what you started and go back to that. So that's what I'm doing now. And we kind of released, 2 singles last year with that touch. So what's happening now, going forward, is we're going to be getting into studio again, finishing off some songs. Hopefully March, April releases. Go big, like pop a video. And then just tighten the fuck out of the live set. I hadn't performed with a full band in years. I've done guitar, but it's always been backtrack or the dance things at the festival. The Callum Scott show was the first time in years, and I kid you not, where we had the full band again. And it didn't feel like I was away. It felt like I just came home. I was like, oh my word, this is the shit. So we're going to be focusing a lot more on festivals, or a lot more on spaces that allow the live band. I have an acoustic set that I do it with Zam, fucking amazing guitarist. But where the opportunity will allow itself, I'm gonna do that, and even try get the band into studio. I think you can just feel it. The crowd feels it.
Exactly.
And I think that's where I kind of lost my way a little bit. Because yes, you can produce, and the way technology has gone, you can make things sound amazing on using your programs and whatnot. But that feeling, you can't replace the feeling. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do this year, 2026.
Are you going to accumulate all those various singles into a body of work of an album?
Definitely. So I think the first 2 singles we released last year were that feeler thing. But again, going back to your previous point, those didn't do it as well as we wanted them to do. But I think we got enough of a spark there to go, we can remain consistent here. We can do this thing. We can see a home run here. And also, fuck it, it's music, man. You do it for yourself, so we're going to do it anyway. So yeah, I think those first 2 ones kind of gave us enough of a spark to go, okay, cool, this now can be put into a body of work. And I think those will definitely be on there. I'd say the last quarter of last year, when this reinvigoration of just the band and everything came into it, I just started writing so much. So there's so much more that we can cook up in the next couple of months.
I'd love your observation of this next topic. We don't have much access in South Africa, as we know, because of the shops closing. I get from overseas, I love me a CD. I still budget for my CDs every month. For me, it's an energy exchange to you guys for the hard work that you do. I love the journey of the choice, the unpacking, the booklet, the thank yous. Listening to song from whatever number in that journey of what the creation was. I'm not sure if you are or not aware, a massive uptick of physical around the world. 2 or 3 years ago in the UK, 5.9 million vinyls sold, the biggest since 1990.
Oh, wow.
Last year in the UK, there's a basket of products that they gauge exchanges on. Based on these exchanges, they're monitored for tax purposes. There needs to be a high number every day. Because of the upsurge of CDs again, CDs are now back in the basket. And the research is showing that it's the teenagers, it's the younger kids diving into this world, not the older nostalgic people.
What?
Then we also have Spotify, all these platforms that people consume music on. What are your observations of the landscape at the moment?
Man, I'm happy to hear that one about CDs. That's fucking amazing. I'm a CD guy. I've got thousands. I kid you not, thousands. I didn't even know how many CDs I actually had. Yo, it's such a tricky one because Spotify and Apple Music and streaming made your music so accessible. That's one thing that it did. It made it that you could give your consumer the music very easily. I am from the old school of, I loved to go on a Saturday morning, fucking 4 hours of my day, I'd go to like Top CD or Look and Listen and just listen to albums. And remember, an album was about 15 to 20 songs at the time. So you're listening to about an hour for one album. And I'd sit there and only in 4 hours listen to 4 albums, maybe 5. And that was on Saturday morning. And then you buy one of those 5 CDs because you're like, okay, cool. This is what I do on Saturday morning. Streaming then made it that, oh fuck, people don't want to listen to the whole album. So they just skip.
Yeah.
And then it became a very singles-driven world. And that for me was kind of shitty because you can't tell a story. You just sell something quickly and then you use that as a business card to sell an album. But even then, because it is so, so much content being given to everyone all the time, your album will only now become 7 songs as opposed to the 20 it used to be back in the day. So there's good and bad. So you have to try to find the silver lining. I am still of the thinking that an album can tell you so much about an artist. I think an album makes sense. I just listened to like last week the new Daniel Caesar album, and I didn't skip one song. And I believe you have to do that. You have to just listen to a body of work. So I think there's a lot of pressure put on artists to have 4 or 5 huge singles a year, but then no one buys an album. I mean, I've heard of artists who've been in the industry since like 2018 and haven't released an album. I was looking at myself the other day, for fuck's sake. I've released like 4 EPs and only 1 album. And I was like, yo, I need to release an album again because I've got so much to say. And there's no better way to do it than saying it one in music, but then giving it that like you said, the curation of song 1 to song 15 or whatever. And you can tell a whole story. So yeah, I don't know. I think the industry's in a place now. I'm happy to hear that people are buying vinyls again, buying CDs. I have a vinyl player, I've got a CD player still. And I love just putting on certain CDs and listening to them through. So I think also the pressure is on us artists to make an album that is worthy of listening from one song, from 1 to 15. I think that's the most important thing. And I think if it's good enough, people will do it. People love music when it's done like that, I think they just don't know it. Who was it? One of these artists, was it Bowie? I was like, don't play to the crowd, make your art and then people will come to you.
Yeah.
So I think we have to just make sure we do that and stop trying to fucking find the single-driven world, because that's what's fucking us up, making a 1 minute 30-second song,
which used to be 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, it's like,
and now because people's attention spans are like 10 seconds, it's like, oh, we need to make it shorter.
Exactly. It's actually unbelievable. So I'm of the thinking of like, just if it's good, people will listen. Whether it's 4 minutes, 30 seconds, or however it is, if it's good, they'll listen.
I love this game. I know if I had to ask you this question in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 hours, 2 weeks, I know your answer will be different every time. I recognize that and I understand that. I'm not saying favorite. I'm saying top of mind. Okay. If once we finish this conversation, driving home, you had to push play to 5 other artists, who would those artists be? Just top of mind.
Daniel Caesar, Sky Newman, Al Green, John Legend, Odile.
Who?
Odile.
Odile.
Yeah, he's a UK guy.
The podcast is listened to throughout the world. As a final message to the audience, what would you like to say?
I just finished my 5th month sober, literally on Saturday.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. If there's something I want to say, is I think that we, as a society, need to be more present. And what I mean by that is don't get caught up in trying to please people through being a yes man on the party, in the thing you do, in the people you choose to let into your life. In these 150 days and my 5 months of sobriety, I've learned that the best and genuine relationship you could ever have is with yourself.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Celeb Savant. Please follow Barrett on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Celeb Savant. That's CelebSavant.